Hey YouTube, T. Holtz here. Thought I'd update the tanks tonight. Here we're taking a look at my 10-gallon shrimp tank. And we'll get in closer. I wanted to show you this dwarf lily plant here. It was dormant for a good portion of the winter. I planted it in the fall. It kind of, it's a bulb plant. It kind of shot a lot of leaves off to the surface, and then it kind of went dormant after a while, and then it came back one leaf at a time, and it's got another one at the surface here. So evidently, maybe that's a characteristic of these plants here. They grow leaves and they kind of melt off, fade away, and then come back. Here's another one here. This one actually didn't. It's a different color, so it must be a different type of dwarf lily plant. That one being green, it has had the leaves on it the whole time. But this one here, the red one, the leaves came on it, they fell off, and now they're back on it again. My shrimp tank. Lots of cherry shrimp in here. One working on this Java moss here. Very clean green Java moss. The shrimp make sure they keep everything clean of algae. They're always going through this Java moss. Here's a Otocinclus catfish. There he is. Lots of plants in this tank. Gonna need to pull out some of this Java moss as it's overgrown here in the corner, and it's starting to choke out the Anubias. And one of the things I wanted to show here is this Green Element LED light that I have on this tank. It really grows the plants well, especially the floating plants. It isn't as far away from the surface of the water as my T5HO tanks are, lights are, and the duckweed, which I don't know if it's going to show up or not, has real long roots, which it doesn't have in my other tanks. And I have some long roots, I don't know if you can see it there, coming down from my Amazon frog bit that I put in this tank, which is not happening with my T5HO lights that I have in my other tank. So it does grow the plants really well, especially the floating plants. Look at that nice red cherry shrimp in here. They're doing well. I started out with 10, it's probably 60 or 70, maybe more. Pretty soon I'm going to be ordering another batch of shrimp from the shrimp farm, just to add to the gene pool a little bit, as these guys have been breeding with each other for a long time. It's time to add to the gene pool and get some fresh blood in here. But really like this tank. Low maintenance, change about 50% of the water once a week, no algae. Shrimp keep it clean. Here's my 20-gallon. Loaded with plants, neons and Harlequin rasboras only in this tank. Lots of plant growth here too. All the neons, they really like to hang out in this dwarf sage. A couple Cory cats. Some Harlequin rasboras there in the back. They're nice fish to have too. They swim a little bit higher in the water column. The neons kind of stay low in the dwarf sage, which isn't really that dwarf. This dwarf sage is almost all the way up to the surface of the tank. And I just let things grow. As you can see, that is Rotala indica that has grown up to the surface, and I just let it fold over. Same with all of the leaves from these Radican swords here in the corner. I just let them fold over And once the light gets blocked too much, then I do a trim to open things up a little bit so that these plants get the light over here on this side of the tank. And I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, but this dwarf sage, very, very thick. I had never trimmed it. I just let it grow. And eventually I guess it's going to reach all the way to the top. Do about 50% water changes on this tank once a week. Beautiful Java fern here too. Anubias coffeefolia has doubled in size over the past year or so that I've had it. That's my 20-gallon neon tank. Everything does really well in here. The heavy plant load keeps the algae down really good. And now we'll move over, show you my discus. Been having problems with the discus. Wasn't changing the water often enough. So now I'm doing about 80% of the water I change every day, direct from the tap. Fortunately, my tap water here is high quality. pH is right around 7, no nitrates, and I'm able to just take 80% of the water, put Seachem Prime in, and put it in right in the tank directly. I don't age the water. I wasn't changing the water often enough, and all they did was hide all the time. I was trying to go twice a week, and then I was doing it every other day. And then finally I decided, well, I'm just going to do every day, and I change 80% every day. And since I've done that, they're behaving a lot better. They're not hiding anymore. They stay out in the open all the time. They're eating better. Also, fortunately, my water is very soft here as well. If I didn't have soft water, it comes out of the tap at about, the GH and KH is around 2 or 3. So if I didn't have soft water, I wouldn't be able to do it directly from the tap either. They're doing a lot better. Like I said, the daily water changes has really helped them out a lot. It's changed their behavior. They're not shy anymore. And still have some that really don't eat that much. But at one point, these fish weren't eating at all. And as I did the daily water changes, little by little their attitude changed. They started eating again. And no more hiding. They used to go right to the corner whenever I approached the tank. But now I can sit right here with my camera, film them. And, you know, they stay right out in the open. So that's the secret, which isn't really a secret. Everyone that keeps discus knows you got to do a lot of water changes, and that's what I'm doing every day. I'm not sure what these plants are, but they do a nice job here in that corner. Algae has been dissipating a little bit off of these plants. Had quite a bit of algae on them, but there still is some, but there's not as much as there was. A couple of new leaves. There's a new leaf on this Anubias, and another new leaf coming up on the Anubias next to it. Rummy nose tetras. I have 11 of them. I found one on the floor, unfortunately, this morning. Open top tank. As long as my discus don't try to escape. But I did lose one of these rummy noses. And cardinals. Have 10 of those. I started out with 12. I did lose 2. Never found them. I did actually find remnants of one in the filter. But I got 10 of them still. And the one German blue ram. He's doing well in here by himself. I don't want to get a female for him and add anything. I don't have a quarantine tank, so I don't want to just buy another fish and add him in here. So I just let him go by himself in this tank. He's doing well. There's my 5 discus. This pigeon blood here is the largest one, and he eats the most out of all of them. As they're coming right towards the camera, they're thinking I'm going to feed them. This cobalt too is the second largest one out of them all. Look at that pigeon. Look at the two of them there. They're waiting for food. It's almost feeding time. I'll be feeding them shortly. Got some water Sprite here floating on the top to try to give the plants some cover, to get rid of some of the algae. It's worked. And as you can see, it's a lot of the glare there from the light, but it's growing out of the top of the tank here. Now, it's a lot of work changing the water every day, but it's worth it when you see the fish getting better and beginning to act a lot better, growing, eating more. Definitely worth it. And then we'll get a quick view of the 20 long. Hard to view this tank down on the bottom. Got a chair behind it, so really can't get a good view of this one. And it is a jungle in here too. Lots of plants. Need some work on here to thin out some of these plants. All this Java moss over here in the corner, growing like crazy on this piece of driftwood. There's a very large piece of driftwood here, but you'd never know it because the Java moss has completely covered it. Nubius barteri there in the back, getting a new leaf on it. Does very well there in the back. It's hard to see. Put some Amazon frogbit in this tank as well. Doesn't develop the long leaves. It's not doing quite as well as it does in the shrimp tank with the LED light. That's the tanks. Algae disappearing, I'm happy to say. I think the water changers is helping that. Discus are doing pretty well right now. Video's getting long. Thanks for watching.